And good morning and welcome back to Small Business Chat. We're back. Hi,
We're
Karen.
back.
We're
Yay!
back.
After
Yay.
5 break.
We've had a little break, folks. We had a little bit longer than we had planned, but we're back to talk and inspire and empower small businesses with purpose. If you're a purpose with a mission, we're here to keep it real, keep it raw, help you along that journey with information to inspire or just simple skills. And today we're talking just to inspire you, but we're talking about business journeys in particular, particularly for those that do have a purpose. They're looking at the long game. They're not really looking at short game businesses, looking to leave a legacy. So there's a lot more work involved into how to keep this as a long-term business, but a viable business. And one of the things that whilst we were on a break, we're both experiencing changes in our businesses and our lives. And there comes that evolution. There's that shift. As you do experience in life, you're going to experience that in business. And one of the things that Karen and I wanted to talk about was evolving your business, because we've been doing this for 11 years. 11 for you?
Yeah, 2009.
More?
Coming up to 12, actually.
Oh, yeah. And how many versions of your business have you, would you say?
Oh, well, started off as a freelancer, then set up a creative agency with a business partner, then set up on my own with HubFizz. But it's still constantly evolved from there as well. So, yeah, I think lots and lots of iterations, different services, changing of things.
And I think that's the point, is that it doesn't change, it doesn't stop. You're constantly evolving. I think a lot of business owners think that we need to set goals. We're going to be working to achieve that goal. But what actually happens within the business itself is that it's going to evolve, it's going to change. So this is what we wanted to talk about today, and just share sort of like some insights here. Really how to best use that time, what to expect if you are starting out that's quite early. Just something to bear in mind, because I think that we're so rigid in terms of what that view might be, what success looks like. And if you have got a long-term goal, it will evolve. You will have to change. You will have to adapt, as we've noticed. But that's sometimes we're talking about adapting externally. Yes, of course, you have to meet the market at some point. But internally, I think nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the changes of where you don't feel aligned with your business. There are plenty of amazing talks that we have heard and learnt from over the years, and this got triggered, I think, from this next phase of evolution, business evolution going through. But equally, it's like nobody says this, nobody talks about it. So really, I think, my question for you, Karen, when was the first time you felt like something had to change, that you weren't quite aligned? Like, how did you recognize that?
Well, I would say, more recently, I would say, because obviously I've gone through from being, sole trade or freelancer to working in a business with a partner. We had different values and had different ideas where we wanted to go. And then I was moving physically away. So that something had to change there. When I started my business as well, I had an idea of kind of the people that I wanted to work with and services I wanted to offer. But I never sort of got that real clarity. And I think it's only until you kind of find, you kind of step into your zone and you find the right clients and you find what works and what you enjoy doing and what you don't, that you start getting all those shifts and changes.
Yeah, that's right. Because you might be getting the clients in, but they just might not be right for you, and you're feeling it. You're feeling it within yourself. It's not the type of success that you're aiming for, that you're striving for. And this is particularly, I mean, there's lots of different businesses out there, but I think that if you're a certain business like us, and again, if you do have that purpose, something's not quite working. And I think that we often fall in that trap of we must get the money, which is great. Obviously we need that fuel. But if it's not aligned with us, it becomes something that provides us with dis-ease, as it were. Like they do say, don't they, when you're not feeling yourself, you're feeling it physically, but it is something that's there.
What about for you? What about yourself? Because I know you've been going through sort of quite a massive change, I think, well, over the years, but also particularly quite recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I did the first change, I'd probably say about 2014, 16. The first time that I set up, it was like I wanted to do something different. I wanted to provide something different. Let's look at the way that the services are. And it started with the services first. By the second sort of 2.0 version, it was like, let's be clear about who we want to work with, how I can best work and support clients. 3.0 version, which we're working on, is going to be, like, what's the legacy, as in, and I thought I was reading, there was a brilliant podcast. It's like, you've got 3 stages. I'm really annoyed now because it's the last one's just gone out my head, but it was also like your master, your mentor, and at some point you'll be on the next level, which I can't remember what it was. I'm sure it was a Simon Sinek talk, but it's like at the first phase, you're mastering all of your skills, how to run the business. By the second, you've sort of got an idea and that you're mentoring. But the third phase is sort of like, what's that legacy that you're leaving behind? Or, what it is in a way of, you want to leave the business. Like, you may leave the business, you may sell the business, but you want someone to continue or work on what you're doing. And
it's that impact you're going to have as well, isn't it?
And I think this is where we work with businesses that want to have that impact. They see that it's beyond them. And I think that the alignment was that, weirdly, after getting the clients and getting the revenue, something's not quite right. Or actually, I'm very drained when I'm doing this kind of work. And it's not fulfilling me. And so you will go through this phase. And the funny thing is that Karen and I were talking about, like, what would be the steps. I would probably say, if you're feeling that, take time out. That's what we just had to do, didn't we? We just literally in fact, it was supposed to be 1 month, and like, we haven't done a small business chat for like 2 now. But we've been working so hard behind the scenes. But it's take that time out, like, do it, like, avoid the noise and just sit with what you feel is right. I think would be my first tip. What about you?
Definitely, because I think if you just, otherwise you're just caught up in the moment and you're stressed out and your brain is just going, you can't get clarity when you're doing that, and I know some people think you can't, I can't afford to do that, I've got bills to pay or whatever. If it means maybe getting a part-time job or something like that, or just getting a bit of help in that time, it really is worth it, because you could, otherwise it just keeps going on and on and on, and you're actually just extending the time that you're spending doing that.
You're stuck on the hamster wheel, aren't you? If you can take that time out, and again, it might be a case of maybe not working on your business, just focusing on the clients, maybe reduce some booking time, more from a practical point of view, booking time to work on your business. So perhaps don't take that extra client if you can afford to. Take the clients that you can do to have the business, but book in that time, make space for that time. If you feel like you've got to work on it, book out that weekend, take that time out, and really sit with it, embrace the fact that change is coming. Because this is the other thing, people fear change. People fear that, oh my God, I'm not happy, I'm gonna have to leave, this is all wrong. No, this is a different way of looking at it, of actually, perhaps it's not the fact that you have to quit, it's the fact that you have to evolve, something else is coming. Maybe you've just grown into what you've already aspired to grow into, you have to go to the next level. So don't fear the change is the second one. So sit with it, don't fear the change of what that would bring. And I would honestly say as well, get help. Get help and support, because I find branding, and you within your business and how you help businesses with their website and their branding, is that package on. And how I always say to clients, get clear with your branding. Like, what is it? That it's not the logo, it's breaking down the steps of who you are, what your vision is, what the purpose is. Start working on that, reconnecting with that, figure out what it takes. Don't worry if it's going to take a long time to figure out. Like, there's probably numerous exercises you could do to break that down, to find it. And you can't rush it, unfortunately. You have to go through the process, and it's messy and it's sticky. And you're probably going to realize, I'm not doing what I'm actually, what actually lights me up. This was a bit of a disheartening thing. I thought I was doing the right thing.
And it can take a lot of time. A lot of clients we started and they're like, right, okay, let's go. Let's do the brand, set up the website. and then and there's when they're fairly new, and then a year down the line, it's just completely changed.
Yeah.
They've just gone, oh, well, actually, I haven't ended up doing this. I've been doing this, so these sort of things, it's tried and tested. You can't just imagine, oh, this is going to be my business like a pop-up tent, and it's going to work and it's going to be successful in a year. I think, it is, like you say, it's always evolving.
It is. And I think if you got that, I particularly have found that I've struggled. So I need the accountability, but also what I have found, and I know you did the same thing, and I'd love to ask you about this, but you got other people. So this is the other thing. Your company is very personal to you and how you work and what your zone of genius is. You might not recognize it. You might not acknowledge it. You might not prioritize it. And the minute that I had somebody else that knew how I worked, that when I started writing out, I was like, no, that's not what you do. Like, as in, you're kind of like using jargon, like step away from that. This is where I see your biggest strength is. And you have to do that several times. You have to ask people, and again, working with coaches and the processes that they do. This is why I would value them. This is why I would value working with a brand strategist. This is why I would value working with that. Is that if they understand where you bring that gift to your clients or your service or whatever that impact is that you want to make, they pull that out of you, that you might be too in the trenches to recognize.
Absolutely, yeah, and just not objective enough. You're just seeing that tunnel vision, and you have a view of how you think you are and what your skill set is, isn't it? And then you get a testimonial and you go, oh my goodness, that's really what people think. Or you put it out there, like you say, and you get that feedback. And it's actually quite surprising.
Yeah.
You go, oh, okay, never thought of that. Yeah.
Maybe on the other side, someone might go, you don't do that at all. Like, what do you actually, you're rubbish at that. No, I'm joking. But again, it's about, I don't think we could be fully self-aware. Like, we don't know everything about ourselves. And you have to listen to that feedback. And I think that's really important to get that, to go, right, where is it that I can move it forward? But that main crux of that work is a lot deeper than you think. So I would say, it is quite challenging. It is deeper. It's like, imagine that you're trying to create the impact. You can only create the impact by being really clear and precise. And one of the things that I have also that we discussed when we were coming up with this sort of outline was, it's not as if you're starting from scratch, because a lot of people think, oh, I've got to change everything. It's got to be redone. There will have been bits, especially if you have been driven with a particular vision or a mission, as it were. If you had that particular mission, that's not necessarily going to change. So again, I think as much as we fear change, it's like where you're evolving, it's different. If you were just trying to get a business and it was sales driven, and that was the target, that was the sole target, was the money, and you're constantly switching to chase that target. Whereas when you do have a business that has more of a brand vision, purpose, alignment, you know that you're trying to do something that's trying to reach that goal. It's not necessarily going to change completely. But one of the things that I have found is that, I don't worry now. I'm on 3.0 and we're stripping back, but I'm still taking the best bits of what I've always said that I know works. So you're not starting from scratch. And I don't think that's something to be scared of.
No, definitely. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Really annoying. Yeah, and mine has changed. I mean, just from when I started HubFizz in 2014, it's kept changing, and you can always, like when you try and get a tagline, which is a strap line. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do, and I still haven't really got one. It's far too long. So but that has evolved like about 5 or 6 times, to get where I am now. So it's something you're always tweaking, improving, and doing. And I think I've focused for so long, like trying to get that, that unique value proposition statement perfect, and wasted so much time and stressed so much over it. And it was pointless. It was just like, just put out what you think it's close to, get close enough, work with that, see what resonates with people, and then you can start making little tweaks and changes. But as you say, it's an evolution. It's not a complete change or rebrand as such. It's, you're evolving as you go along.
And actually, this is something that I love with the work that you and Lynn do, actually. It's like every 3 to 5 years, it's like that's how long that phase should almost last for, which is something we
Mm.
talked about, um, which I think is really interesting because it is true. Once you've done this work, like again, I don't think people need to revisit it every year. Like I would say, your values, is this still what I want to do? Like maybe every year, look at it. But in terms of the shift of actually how we're evolving, I'm kind of like looking this now, and it'd be great if if anyone else has that view, but it's like 3 to 5 year sprints, isn't it? So you're sort of like
Mm.
going, okay, this is what we're going to do going forwards. But the one thing that I have noticed is that, and I think this is, maybe you're someone that could be like, where am I now, let's just get that covered and then we'll just work like that for 3 to 5 years. But somewhere along the line, I'm also looking at, where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years, like, and then sort of, I might not be there. I think as women particularly, it's that whole, when men apply for jobs, they'll look at everything and go, well, I'll learn that. Whereas a woman will go, I'm not quite ready there.
Mm.
So if you're a business owner, you're thinking, well, I'm not quite ready there. It's like, no, but you do have the skill sets to, you'll have more knowledge than most. And so actually it's still valuable. So it's something that you're going to go into. And I remember doing this the first time, 2.0 version, is that I laughed and I thought, oh, crikey. I wrote all of this down. And then by the time I've revisited it, I was almost laughing going, oh, this is definitely me. Like, as in, this is what I know I can do, but I feel like I'm going on to the next level. So it's like, that's what
Absolutely.
I'm working towards. So it's
Yeah.
two ways of looking at it, actually. It's either that you need to shift and you need to address it and you need to update, or if you have got that long-term mission and plan, or that it's, that it's more about longevity and it's about impact. What is it that you want to achieve, and what are you putting in place now that in 3 to 5 years this is what I will have, and have it ready
Yeah.
to fill
It
in.
is definitely, and I think people work at it differently. I mean, something's like, oh, where you're going to be in 10 years' time. To be honest, I hate those questions. I've always struggled with them, and it's just like, well, I don't know, because I mean, look at what COVID did. It just it threw up all sorts of barriers. Um, you might have to leave the country, you might move house, you might, all sorts of things can be thrown in your way that you just don't know that that's coming. So while you've got that sort of, this is kind of where I want to be, I don't think, for some people, I think it might be quite hard to sort of focus that, that's it, that's where I want to be. Because if they don't achieve that, they're going to be like really disappointed. And what I've just found that's work is just keep doing something every month, just
Yeah.
something small every month. Just tweak a page on your website, update your profile on LinkedIn or something. Look at testing out like a show like we've done, see if that works for you, or try a newsletter out. I've said, right, oh, this is going to be the plan for the newsletter, and then 3 months down the line, actually, no, it's not. This has changed, and it's going to be like this. So, and I think people are scared to do that sometimes because they think, well, I've said what I'm going to do, so I've got to stick to it. But
Mm.
do you know what? I mean, we're all human, and things do change, and you've also got to adapt and streamline your business to as well. And I
Yeah.
think all of that, all these little changes and tweaks and that is all part of that, which makes your business better, which makes it more productive, which makes it more sustainable. So I think we have to keep doing that.
And it's really interesting having us both with different viewpoints, because I do think more in advance. I think, but also I'll put those things in place. It gives me something to work within. I'm not saying
Mm.
that I don't achieve that, or I'm lying by putting that on the website. That's not true. It is still true. But the
Mm.
level that I'm working towards, and then what I'm going to build in that website over the next, like, again, I see it more as a building block.
Yeah.
Um, of what I want. But again, it's, you're not writing everything down, but you're starting. So, for example, you could start with a smaller, like we were talking about, events with Yellow Tuxedo, and it's like, I can't do events just yet, but I can do a coffee morning. So
Mm.
actually, why don't I put that in first? But I know what the goal would be. It's like, oh, actually, I would love in a year, touch wood, health good, that I could do events going forward if this all works out nicely. So, I'm still sitting there going, but I can do this. So what's
Yeah.
the goal? But what can you do now? And that's
Yeah. What's manageable, isn't it? I mean, I've had great big ideas of what I want to do, and that is all sitting there waiting, but it has been put on hold because it has, other things have got busier in the business.
Yeah.
So then you've got to, you've got to prioritize, okay, well, what do I do now? But I've always got that sitting there waiting, that I will get to that point. I just hope, it doesn't go forever. But actually, if it's not meant to be, sometimes it's not meant to be, So I've also got a bit of that flexible attitude that, maybe that particular project might not come to fruition.
It's how you work as well. It could be that, again, I need accountability, but I also need, I look at things in quarters, and there's exactly said, what do you want to do in those quarters to meet those goals? Drop them down. I don't fill everything out. I'm not that good. I'm really not. But I will do a couple of things to move the dial just a little bit every quarter. How long that will take, how long I can do is completely, we work for ourselves. We have a team, but it's still not the same. It's not as if I have a whole agency underneath. That's not the way that this outfit works. So it's like, right, okay, you'll just have to do what you can do. But even if you hit your targets, you've got to, and clients, you have to fulfill those targets. So this is what's going to take it. But I think this is really interesting in terms of two ways of looking at it. Are you evolving in your business at the moment? Do you feel that change? What are your steps? Let us know in the comments below, and we will leave you. Thank you for your time, for listening. But I will leave you with a great quote that a client said to me this week, from the book Literary Machines. Thank you, Lawrence, for this, but this I absolutely loved. And he said, this quote that he said was from a book, and it said, "I mistook a clear vision for a short distance." And I thought that was brilliant, because you can have that vision, absolutely, but it's like that, I wanted to go from A to B, and then this is what you think it's going to be, and then you see the squiggly line.
Yeah.
It really was, yeah. And it's just not that. So embrace it, lean into it, and I think get the help that you need. And
definitely getting the help and the support, joining networks, joining memberships, finding associates, other business, that you can talk to and speak to, people who've been through similar things, really important. And that squiggly bit will start to go like that. Or you can't see me, it's going off the screen. That's that way. StreamYard. Everything's back to front.
Right. Let us know if you have any questions. If you are struggling, just drop us a note in the comments. Reach out to us. This is why we're doing it, to help, to either guide you, put you in the right direction of someone who can help as well with our network. So yes, thank you very much for your time, and we will see you next week now. Take care.